Hey guys, it's Purple Ferret here, and welcome to another speed draw video. This is another OC video, but this is a little different because it's also a recreation of some old art I did. It's from all the way back in September of 2020, so it's about 5 years old. It will be 6 this year. I chose to remake it because I really liked the concept, but I don't think I executed it the best because I played it very safe with the posing, I think. And I also messed up whenever I was coloring. There's a bunch of graphite being picked up by the lighter colors I was using, so some of the colors got a little muddy. And that's normally a thing that happens, and it's like, oh, it's okay, it's just in this one spot. But it really messed up this one character's face. She's supposed to have half her face gray, but her whole face is gray because the graphite got picked up on the side that has skin on it. So I think even my most ambitious pose, which would be the blonde guy on the right, I think even his pose was a little safer than it could have been. It was ambitious for the time when I drew it because I did very safe poses, but I knew I could have done better if I used a reference, for example, but I did most of my drawing at school, so there wasn't really a way for me to find a reference in the middle of class. This was during COVID, but it was during a phase in my schooling where I went to class 2 days a week and then did a virtual meeting on Wednesdays, and then the last 2 days of the week I stayed home and did schoolwork independently. I had a lot of fun with that type of schooling because it gave me more time to work on my personal projects and stuff, but that's beside the point right now. The point is, I'm pretty sure I drew this while I was actively in the building and not at home. But enough about what the old version looked like. I would instead like to talk about what the concept of it was. I'm pretty sure based on what I am planning for the title of this video that you probably already kind of know a little bit. But the basic idea is I had 3 stories that were all set in the same universe and weren't just set in the same universe but had interconnected characters. It was a little bit like how you can have like multiple TV shows produced by the same company set in the same universe and you can have them cross over sometimes. It was like that, except one of the side stories is a little bit more important to the main story than the other one is. The main story is the 2 guys in the middle. The guy on the left's name is Tony, and he's a demon. And the guy on the right's name is Vinny, and he's a regular human who wears a scarf over his face for story reasons that I don't want to spoil, because it's something that if it were a show, it would be revealed in like the first or second episode, but it would still be a secret. The reason it would happen in the first or second episode is because the first and second episodes would take place over the course of a few months to give them time to get used to each other as roommates, because oh my god, they were roommates. But in all seriousness, as roommates, they were kind of avoidant of each other because of their respective secrets. Tony being a demon, which is also revealed in the first episode, but it's irrelevant to the connection with Mistletoe, who is the other demon, which I'll get into here in a minute. So I feel like I had to bring that up because Vinny's reason for wearing the scarf is a little less relevant to the story as a whole. It's something that he has to deal with for sure, but as far as explaining the story concept, it's not relevant to that. The main concept of their story is Vinny has a demon roommate and has to deal with that because, as far as he knows, demons are evil, but Tony's actually kind of nice and he's trying to figure out if that's an act or not. As far as who I'm drawing right now, this is Kira and Knox, and Kira is Vinny's cousin. That's the relation and how far the crossover really gets, because her whole deal is she finds this alien or supernatural being and keeps him as a pet, and it fits in the universe pretty well, but it doesn't tie in with the other two stories as much. What I think is kind of funny is Vinny and Tony's story and Kira and Nox's stories are both based off of songs. Mistletoe's story is entirely just based on the fact that I found out what Krampus was and thought it'd be cool to make something loosely inspired by that. Story-wise, she has nothing to do with Krampus. Story-wise, she just likes Christmas and named herself Mistletoe. Technically, she named herself Mistletoe because it's her favorite parasitic plant, because it is used ritualistically in a way that is not fitting of what it actually does in nature, and she thinks that's ironic and funny. She got into the holiday through that. The major difference between Mistletoe and Tony is Tony was born human, and then after he died, he earned his way into being a demon. Mistletoe was born a demon, but she's not that old demon-wise. She's only a couple hundred years old versus the several thousand of a lot of other demons. Another difference is because she's not of human soul, she can't exist on Earth in a corporeal form and has to rely on possession to walk amongst the living. And the way that this possession works is if there is a human soul inside of the body she is inhabiting, that soul fights back, which creates friction within the body and causes rapid decay of that body. And so demons like herself would much rather have a deceased vessel, but freshly deceased is the key word, because she can rapidly heal any injuries that they have, but she can't unrot somebody. So she can maintain a body that she is inhabiting, but she can't undo decomposition. So she can't just pick up a skeleton, possess it, and regrow everything that the body lost over the course of time. She can let her true self leak out onto the body in extreme moments, which is what's happening in this piece, where she's intentionally showing her demon face on half of her face. In the original drawing, it was also on that hand, but I didn't feel like doing that this time. You might be a little concerned for the owl's sake. The owl is actually the familiar of the dead witch that Mistletoe is inhabiting. The witch died, and I'll get into that more in my next video, which I am focusing exclusively on him and their story. So to recap, you have in the middle Vinny and Tony, where they both are keeping secrets from each other as roommates, but Tony's is that he's a demon, Vinny's is unstated, but I know what it is because obviously I'm the writer. I'm just choosing not to tell you. And then to Vinny's right, we have his cousin Kira, and you have Nox. It's a story about a preteen girl choosing to keep a giant monster as a pet. And then to Tony's left, you have Missy, another demon story where Mistletoe possesses a dead witch and the familiar of that witch is stuck with her because of that. I honestly have so much more I could talk about with all three of these stories, but I kind of want to hold off on talking about them until I make a more story-based speed draw, which is kind of what I did with the owl. His name is Ice, by the way, spelled E-I-S. It's literally just German for ice. I was very into naming things in German back then, and I'm not going to change his name anytime soon because I'm kind of attached to it. He has cringy-ish name, but it's okay. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is I'm going to hold off on talking about them until they have their own dedicated videos, because there is just way too much to talk about if I wanted to go in depth with each and every one. There is not enough time in this video for that. That being said, there is still a lot left of this video for me to talk, and I am dreading that because I ran out of things to say that aren't the things I said I wasn't going to talk about, so let's see what I come up with. Oh, this hand was really annoying for me to draw because I hated the way I first drew it, and then I redrew it, and then I still didn't really like it. I moved it. I think it's better now than it was before, but I don't I don't think I ever truly fixed what I thought was wrong with it. I always think it's so funny to turn on the colors just to see how it's looking with the current line art and figure out if I like it and if I made decisions I didn't mean to make, or if like silhouettes are off, like with Tony's arm here. I just felt like his silhouette felt a little weird, like his arm felt short. Like part of it's in a pocket, but not that much of it's in a pocket, so I moved it a little bit. Honestly, I haven't done any super ambitious art since I made this one, so I should probably do another one here soon. I really liked making this one, and I think I should make more like it, because just having like a spread of like characters that I made is something that you won't find anywhere else, and it's a lot of fun for me to talk about characters I've had floating in my head for years. Some characters longer than others. Vinny and Tony, I was a sophomore. Kira and Knox, I might have been in middle school for. Ice and Missy were also when I was a sophomore. And I come up with new characters all the time. Like last year, I believe, I came up with these two characters based off of a writing prompt. Probably tell you all about them at another point. And just a couple months ago, I made some new characters. I'm actually recording this after I made the Valentine's Day video, so Valentine's Day video is actually where these characters are. And I can't remember if I talked about their story at all. Okay, I just went and checked, and I did a little bit. I told you what I know for certain is part of their story, but I didn't go into super mega details about it. I did actually go back and watch the video, but not on my channel in the editing software because the internet is down right now. I'm glad I don't need the internet right now, but I feel like I should go reset it anyway, just in case someone else does. Okay, I reset the internet. It did nothing. So I don't know what to do about that. I don't need to upload this right away, so hopefully it comes back on within the next 2 weeks. I just realized I've never actually said what time I upload, and I don't think I've ever said the day of the week, actually. I upload at 11:30 a.m. EST on Fridays, but only every other week because I don't want to die. I enjoy making art, but not enough to draw that frequently and burn myself out. I need to take breaks, obviously. Like everyone should take breaks, even on things they enjoy. I've found a way to avoid getting burned out by working on multiple mediums at a time. I animate, I draw, I write, I paint. I have a large array of things that I like to work on for that purpose, and it's really helpful to not burn out by having multiple mediums that I can switch between. This does unfortunately mean, in terms of making art, that if I get caught up in working on making a YouTube video of art every single week, then I'm not going to do other art things and I will burn out. So I have to have a little variety in my life. A lot of this kind of boils down to me making a bunch of art about the same characters in different mediums. For example, I draw these characters, but I also write about them. I write more about them than I do draw them because it's a lot easier to get the ideas down, and so I have them for reference later if they aren't in some random sketchbook from 5 years ago and they're instead in my notes app, for example. Having them in my notes means I can go through and look and go, oh hey, so that's what that was. Okay. Instead of going, oh, I have no idea who these characters really are. I didn't write their names next to them at all. I've actually had this problem before where I didn't write about these characters enough once. Not these characters. From a story that I named Foster Farm. I had these characters, and there's a lot of characters, and most of them are side characters, and I didn't write about the side characters almost at all, and I completely forgot one of their names. And after that point forward, I started writing characters' names next to them in like the first few stages of me drawing them, so that, hey, I at least have reference of what their name is. And then I found that I did do that for one of these characters, and I guessed his name correctly the next time I remembered he existed, but I forgot something about him. I can touch on that whenever I draw that guy. It's very funny that I forgot story details about him, but I remembered his name by accident. Honestly, I think that just comes down to I didn't think of myself as a writer up until junior and senior year of high school because I was just like, I'm making stories, but I don't like write stories. But that's exactly what it is. I just needed to like put the language down. Anyway, we are yet again at the end of the video and it's time for the comparison. I really like how this one came out even in the sketch phase. I really like how there's lines coming off of the characters' poses and stuff that aren't in the final line work, and I feel like it just has a certain charm to it that the final can just never compare to. That being said, if I didn't polish this, then that beautiful hand that I drew for Vinny would not exist. So, I prefer the final for that reason, and not just that reason alone. There's a lot about the final that I really like. I feel like the little grumpy owl is a little more grumpy in the final versus the sketch. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll come back for the next one where I talk about ice and the lore of how familiars work in this world and stuff. And I hope you check out Tumblr so you can get a peek ahead of all the art that I've already made that I haven't done the videos for. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!